Hi everyone, welcome to the Live with Alfredo Diaz, usually on Thursdays. This is Zarina at Healnlearn. Today we're going to be talking about relationships, the favorite topic of Alfredo. He's a pro in that. Hi Alfredo, welcome.
Hi Zarina, how are you today?
You know, there are only two answers for me to this question. One is I'm very well, and the other one is I've been through a rough patch, but I'm working towards getting better. There are only two options. So the focus in my philosophy should always be towards the purpose and the road on getting better. So I'm good. I'm good. It's evening here, so
Yeah.
my mind is getting ready to sleep, but now I'm awake. Now we have an interesting thing to talk about.
Yeah, we're gonna talk today about the how why we are so addicted to the romantic love or the romantic relationship. I think it was the title for today's conversation.
Tell me, are you yearning for the cold climate now? Because there's fog in your background and you're in Florida. So
I'm in Florida. I like it. I like it. This climate. I think it wasn't too cold, but it was foggy. This is North Carolina, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, back on the subject. You know, when last week we were talking about how to get stuck from, how to get off or from being stuck in life. You know, I'm realizing that there are so many things that are residing in our brain that even when I learned that our emotions are the consequence of our, our brain processing, I also found something very interesting, which is the subject for today. And it is that it's in the brain, there is in the relationship, there are like three kinds of relationship that we can classify, I will say, in a very generic standpoint. Because falling in love is very personal. It's very particular. There is no any common pattern because we are different. We are completely different, everyone. Even though that we had,
I would say there are patterns because I know that I fall in love in a similar way to other people, but it's never exactly the same. So there are some similarities that people feel. I mean, certain hormones are triggered, people feel a certain way. I think different groups of people do feel a similar emotion.
That's correct. I mean, what I'm trying to say is the parameters for you to get in love or fall in love maybe it's very different than other person. But if you talk about all the pattern on regards to the chemistry that happened to us inside, I think they are the same.
And what do you mean by parameters? Is it the place or the environment in which this happens to you?
Yeah, the parameters are your background, your way of thinking, your religion, your belief, your education, how your parents educate you, how was your childhood, your young adulthood, your education, your economical situation, etc. You know, we tend to relate to people that are alike.
Mhm.
Of course, sometimes we want a better position for anything, to be better, to improve. And sometimes we can have that target, that goal as part of the situation we want to live when we fall in love. Maybe we can change our environment. We want to live someplace else. We want to experience different things. We might be fulfilling that when we find the person that we think is the right person for us. But talking about why we get addicted to the romantic love, I want to share something that I found that I think is very profound with a person that is she's neurobiologic and anthropologic that is specialized in how our brain respond on regards to love. She had made several studies using MRI and studying neurosciences. She's called Helen Fisher.
Mhm.
And I found very interesting that she found like 3 different areas that can classify the kind of love. And I compared that with the Carlos True in regards to the Vedic principles. And one of them, the very first one, the 3 of 1 that she found, the very first one, she said that something that motivates us to be with someone is our primitive and raw desire to have a sex, because we have a sexual motivation. This is the very first one. The second one is the romantic love, which is drive us to be more selective. And the last one is the deep attachment. And I call that, the love based upon Jupiter, the Jupiterian love. But now, today we're going to concentrate in the second one, the romantic love. Which
Sorry, you said disattachment in the third one.
I said disattachment, no, attachment.
Attachment.
Oh,
okay.
deep, like
deep attachment. Mm-hmm.
Deep attachment. Sorry for my English.
Deep attachment, no problem. I was okay. So, just may I ask something before you continue?
Yeah, please. You can interrupt anytime.
Okay. So what about all the people that fall in love due to societal programming or because they believe this is the right person for them, but it's actually not? Where does this fall in the category, or is this not falling in love at all? Like, they can convince themselves that this is indeed the person that they love.
Yeah, it reminds me when, for instance, in some countries, you run the program and you say, this is the one, regardless if you feel or no, or you don't feel something for that person, this is the Mr. Right for you. You have to marry him, and that's it. Yeah, it happened, and could be along the time that those people can reach their romantic love. But it takes time. But you're right. I mean, there are people that sometimes they get married or they living together, but they don't want to be alone, but they are not in love. And maybe from the 3, I will say that it's because convenient attachment, I will say. Functional attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not deep attachment, because there is not deep, considering the roots of the relationship It was practical, functional.
Mhm.
Normally, we want the relationship to be built, beginning with the romantic, loving relationship, which is the one that is full of chemistry.
Mhm. Well,
It's full.
I do have friends in India and in Arab countries where marriages are still pretty much arranged, and they it's so deep ingrained in society that they should accept it, and it's the best person chosen for them by the family, that eventually they do fall in love with the person. You understand? So subconsciously, their mind is already convinced that this is the best person for them because of societal programming.
That's correct. And it's
And
completely.
so these marriages end up being very long now, be it because of societal pressure not to separate, or because they really fall in love after a while, or because the partners are usually chosen from the same family circle and there's a lot of support within the families. So it's a different subject, but I mean, it's so complicated. I don't even know where to classify it, but you can convince yourself very easily based on the environment you're in that you're in love.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Because it's part of their culture.
Yes.
It's part of their culture. I mean, the principles and the values that they use, they are aligned with that. And they are bringing that from the ancestor, and they will teach their descendant in the same way. They think this is the valid way to get together with someone and live forever. But in the Western, I will say, or different way of thinking, I think the steps, or the chronologically talking, at the very beginning, when we start getting into this area of love, at the very beginning, we are very explorer. We want to explore first, not only with one person, but with many. That's why I think when we call that I would say the primitive love, is a right way of naming this phase, because you are not engaged with no one. You just want to explore yourself, and in the meantime, based upon your values, education, and so on, you keep along the way building the map of love inside of you. That's why you need some time to really live a romantic love, because it's like building blocks, and there is one piece that fits perfectly when you meet the other person. But to build something serious, you need some time. You can fall in love when you are so young. I mean, you can fall in love. But talking about something serious in the long term, maybe you really need some time. I don't know if I'm explaining myself well.
It's getting me to think now, when you're talking about building blocks, does that mean you're getting to know yourself better with each love relationship, and then the next one is closer to what you are or what you're looking for in a partner?
No, when I say the building blocks, is because suppose that you said at 10 years old, I fall in love with someone, but you are a child. Maybe you like someone, but you don't know what is falling in love yet, because you don't know what is falling in love. is what I'm trying to say. I mean, when I'm trying to say about time, is because you probably need some time. You need to be at least a teenager in the mid ages, 15, 16. It's like when we were talking about the planet maturation. Jupiter is the first one at 16. And you need to have some sort of conscious, even that falling in love is unconscious somehow, but you need to have some sort of conscious to fall in love.
Well, I honestly remember my early childhood loves, and I thought I was in love. So for my child consciousness back then, that was love. You just perceive it in a different way, but who is there to judge whether this was you being in love or not? It's a child. If the child feels in love, they're in love.
Yes,
it's a different question whether you're going to build a relationship afterwards, but the child was in love, you understand? And I've been in love since a very early childhood.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm addressing this subject to people that are not in the childhood. I mean,
that
I
are more
understand
conscious
your
about
point.
what they want.
You can fall in love when you are a child. It happened to me also. I remember I liked it when I was in primary school. Some girls. I think the very first time was when I was in the last grade in primary. Then when middle school. But finally, when I think my first girlfriend, I think I was 16 years old, I think, or 15. Maybe it was too late for me. Maybe now people are faster. But what I'm trying to say, what happened inside of us is that there are some situation that triggers your areas of love that makes you get
your assessment.
I don't want to not attached, but it's like when you get obsessive with some person. And this is because when you are in a romantic love, there is something that happened to you that disconnect or unplug your logical mind, your logical brain. Everything is full of all these great chemicals that makes us feel very good. Like, the oxytocin, the dopamine, etc. So when we fall in love, when we are in the romantic love, we are more focused on one person. Instead, when we are in the phase when we are just exploring, like experience our many relationship in not committed way, I will say. It's part of our phase to know ourselves, know others, and also to grow. But when you really fall in love, you get obsessive with someone, and it's because all the hormones that are triggered make you see all the good things of the person, and regardless the yellow or the red cards that you can find along the way, you don't pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, sometimes you feel that you aren't on heaven. The problem with that is when you fall in love, the more that you go up, you are lucky and you can continue having that relationship and build it and can, you know, validate each other. It's something that along the way, during that time, you can overcome all the obstacles and challenges that you both will be facing. However, if something happens and you get very disappointed, you know, you're gonna feel very bad. You're gonna feel very dumped.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what does the study say? The one from, is this a psychologist that you are quoting with the activation
The
of the
person? No,
when you classified 3 types of falling in love?
Oh,
this
yes.
was Helen, who you quoted somebody.
Helen Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
Helen Fisher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
she classified that because she found in our brain there are 3 different regions, 3 different areas that motivates people to get in connection with others. It could be some very basic connection, which is sexual connection, driven only by sex. So you can have different options. You can share with many. You don't care about, there is no any thing that make you feel that you have to be with that person always. It's just, you know, friend with rights, something like that. The second level is the romantic love. I call the very first one the Mars encounter, I will say, the primitive one. The second one, the romantic love, I call the Venus or the Venetian love. And the third one, which is when you go to the third level, is the deep attachment, which is, to me, ruled by 2 planets. It's Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter because it's the one that is giving you the high purpose, and Saturn because you need time and resilience to complete this path, which is a long path. But what makes us to be addicted, the more addictive one is the second one. It's the one that creates the so-called blind love. Because the second one is the one that produces more chemical reaction in our body and make us to disconnect our mind from the logic and the concrete things. When I'm talking about the concrete, yeah.
Isn't the first type of love mostly privy to men, like the sexual relationship? I know a lot of people, and through my experience and talking to friends, I know that whenever you're in a sexual relationship with somebody, as a woman, you do want to bring it forward. Women try to kind of put their foot in the door through sex, which is usually a mistake because it doesn't lead anywhere. But they're always hoping to develop the relationship by stepping on the wrong stone first. And so what I'm thinking is that for men, it's easier to restrict themselves to this kind of relationship, the first type. But for women, it's always a trial to move towards the romantic relationship. What do you think?
I agree with you. Yeah, I think, and it's something that I found a long time ago, that when you meet someone or when you see someone, I mean, we are in life going everywhere, in your neighborhood, in your grocery store, whatever, that kind of attraction belongs to the mind, the caveman mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we want to preserve our species.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds very primitive, but it's like this. It's like when you see a man, when men see a woman, they don't think, oh, I want to have a child with her. It's pretty unconsciously. It's something that it's like the human preservation instinct that,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I feel attractive for that girl. She can give me some good kids. I'm pretty sure nobody's thinking about that, but that's why I am clarifying. It's very unconscious and primitive, but it's a human instinct to, extend our existence forever with our descendant.
Mm-hmm.
And the same happen. The woman is different because the woman, when once the desire to be with someone in the very primitive way, just satisfying the sex needs. If you get apart about having kids, I think it will be the same. But woman by nature always think in family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say 100% because there are women that they don't want to have kids. I know people, very good, very nice people, intelligent women. They haven't never had kids because they think that they are not along with their great purpose in life, whatever it is, the purpose. But at the very end, yes, I think woman has to be more careful because unconsciously, like the man wants to have a descendant because they want to prevail as a human race, woman also wants to prevail as well and had kids. And she said, that man, I like it because unconsciously she's thinking she can give me good kids. It's something that I'm not quoting this person that I mentioned before. It's something that I found maybe 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why in our cavemen we had that kind of, I call raw love, which is only human preservation. And yes, I mean, I think woman is more prone to go to a second level because I think, well, they always had the more developed that nourishment, more moon, I will say, profile than the men. I don't know if I answered your question or
Yeah, sure.
you have more questions.
It absolutely makes sense. Of course, the woman wants somebody to support her with the birth of the child, so it's natural that she wants to continue a romantic relationship where the person would stay with the child and support the raising of the child, right?
Yeah, but when we reach that point, we are in the third level. To get to that point, to reach that point, I think is needed to develop well the second phase. I remember maybe 1 year ago, I don't know, one of our conversation, we talk about the friendship, the first, then the engagement, and then the embracement for having a good relationship. It's something kind of similar. When you are at the very beginning are very informal, I will say. You need time to get to know the other person, but you really don't engage. You just maybe get satisfied in some sort, talking about the most primitive kind of love. And then when you start, when the romantic love is triggered, which is something curiously the romantic love is the area in our brain is very close to the area that make us feel thirsty and hunger.
Interesting. Wow.
So it's very basic.
Mm-hmm.
The connection from that point is, I mean, the connection is so fast that it's completely unpredictable. That's why you don't know when you're gonna fall in love, because it's something that, since you had built your building blocks from your education, from your values, from all the things that you learned during your growing process as a child, a teenager, young adult, or simple adult ages, when that person comes, that person triggered that part of the brain, and it's like a flashlighting, because it's the piece in the puzzle that you were expecting from all your building blocks that you unconsciously have inside of you. If we relate this with the car of truth, for instance, because normally we talk about the car of truth, and that's why when I see everything related to relationship, I'm trying to match or map how this map with the relationship. We always talk about the basics attractions with using the cards, or the generic attraction that using the card, and then how we can get Mr. Right at making a match using the cards. I think biologically, and beside with our education, the human beings always want to get in touch to or be with someone that can fulfill everything for us. It's something that is like we are looking for our soulmate, we are looking that unconscious part that we want to fulfill that we cannot fulfill because consciously we are who we are, but there are some part that we need someone else that can match, and then we can fulfill 100%. That's why we look for somebody else in the relationship. And when we find that person, all these chemicals, the dopamine, the oxytocin, the endorphins, for the woman, the testosterone, the estrogen, serotonin, everything is triggered. And it's such amount of information and reaction that are inside of us, triggered by the mind, that overwhelm us and keep us just seeing the good things of the other person. And we get disconnected from the logical thing. Maybe the person is married, maybe the person is living in a foreign country. Maybe there are some impediments that you say, no, we are going to overcome that, because the force that drives you to be with that other person make you move everything from you to be with the other person.
Well, that's not necessarily bad, though, because sometimes exactly these states of being allow you to indeed overcome any obstacle, and not only in the love sphere, but also in your life in general, because you start infusing energy in everything that you do. So things start moving easier when you're in a happy love relationship, not just in love, right? Or you're talking about just being in love, but without being in a love relationship, just in your mind on your own.
No, I think you need, when we talk about last week about how getting on a stock or from life, we need contact. We need the other person.
Yeah.
We need to hand the person, we need to touch the person, we need the presence, we need the care, the nourishment. All these things are so good that if you have a healthy relationship, it's pretty good, because you are building for the future. It's like, you know, when we in astrology said, well, the 5th house is pretty nice. It's when you fell in love. All the chemicals are inside of you, very nice. But in the 6th house is when you might get connected again, and you have to change the diapers. So, yes, you have all this motivation, you're gonna be changing the diapers happily every single night. And this is the kind of love, really love, which is the deep attachment. And you're right when you say woman look for the deep attachment lately, because she's thinking in family. It's the nature. Her hormone system is completely different than we. That's why man is like a sun and woman is like the moon. The chemical is different, because when you fall in love with someone and you want to preserve your descent, you are seeding for the future. You are selecting who's gonna be the one with you to preserve you at the end.
So can we say that the addiction to romantic love is all related to the preservation of the human species?
Yes. I think based upon the principles and values that you have. That's why at the very beginning it was a little bit difficult for me to explain about falling in love being a child, because you're still building your values and your principles.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be and to have some sort of maturity to reach that point. Of course, I can, but you need to have, concrete things that at the very end you can choose and say, yeah, this is the person. This is the one that I want to invest all my energy. And then when things happen, I want this relationship to prevail, regardless all the situation. Moreover, if you have kids, at least you have to reserve the relationship until the kids get also in some maturity. I remember, I guess we have talking about this, and I want to repeat again. One time, my little girl, well, she's now 24, but maybe she was 14 when she asked me, Dad, how do I know who is good to get married? And I say, what are you asking me that? And I say, okay, find a man that is willing to be with you at least until you can raise your kids. Of course, fell in love, build everything based upon love and romantic love. And sometimes happen that you have romantic love and maybe you don't reach the point to get in the attachment. The good thing is leave the romantic love and continue with the deep attachment to build a family. And many things, of course, with that person.
All right. Is there anything else we can say about the topic? Any other relation to the cards of truth?
Well, yeah, the card of truth, you can see what is embedded. What are you looking for as a partner?
Mm-hmm.
You can see who you are, and you can see what are you looking for to complete the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that you can find it, especially for deep attachment. Of course, for romantic love.
You mean like character traits that correspond to your internal setting, so to say.
Yeah.
Character trait, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's something that is by, I mean, when you had your card of truth profile, there is a lot of information there that it not only talk about your potential, your opportunity areas, your weaknesses, but also it's telling you who you are and what are you looking for as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when sometimes we talk about compatibility, we can say here, well, if you find someone, if you are in some point in time, you are in anywhere and you find some person with this profile, everything is going to be triggered inside of you. So you're going to be experienced kind of romantic love. And maybe the detachment seems to be that it takes longer, like maybe 18 months, 2 years, to really make a very good assessment and take the final decision to continue with someone. It's when the chemistry is still, but it's not overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
You recoup your brain again, the logic part of the brain, the diamond part of the brain. So you can put in a balance your heart and your diamond.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take the best decision.
Yeah.
Because finally you find the balance between your emotions and your rational.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much, Alfredo. The links are below if you would like to have a consultation with Alfredo. And also a reminder that tomorrow I have a live call as well. If you have any questions about the Silva method, my courses, you can type them under any video. I'll see them. And if you're not able to make the live call because of time zone or whatever, I'll still answer your questions. By the way, we also have a course recorded with Alfredo and Charlotte Common, Manifestation, Deeper Dating, and Love Mastery. It was a 3-session course that we did over a weekend, the Love Mastery course. And you'll hear about different perspectives on how to find a love relationship, how to manifest, what's the right person for you, what Alfredo was talking about, the right piece of the puzzle.
That's correct.
Thank you so much, Alfredo.